There is no doubt that Robin is one of the most iconic characters in all of the DC universe, and as I'm sure all of you know, there is more than just one Robin. There's quite a few in fact, and in today's video we'll be going through the history of each and every one. Now I thought I'd intro this video just to let you guys know that this is a compilation of older videos. I've done full story videos on each Robin character, their entire history, mostly, and this video just collects them all into one place for you. Obviously with that there has been some time between each one, so the quality may differ slightly, some are recorded on different microphones and so on, so please forgive me for that. But anyway, I really hope you enjoy. The story is the same nonetheless. So without further ado, let's get into the full story, the full history of every single Robin.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. Fear. I'm vengeance.
So Richard John Grayson was born to Jack and Mary Grayson of the acrobatic circus act, The Flying Graysons. By the age of just 3, Dick was already showing a mastery of acrobatics, and performed in the Haley's circus show for the first time. A few years later, when he was 12 years old, Haley's circus travelled to Gotham City. Thugs working for the mob boss Zuko extort the circus for protection money, but when it isn't paid, they sabotage the Graysons' trapeze, which leads to the death of Jack and Mary, Dick's parents. Dick had actually suspected what was going to happen after overhearing a conversation, but did not act on it. Because of this, he blamed himself and wanted revenge. But he was stopped by acting upon it by none other than Bruce Wayne. Bruce merely trying to protect the kid from Zuko's retribution. Bruce decides to take the young Grayson in himself, training him as a detective. Before long, it becomes very clear to Bruce that Dick is basically a genius with a great detective instinct, and his mastery of acrobatics means he picks up martial arts like it's second nature. One night, Dick snuck out of the Wayne Manor to attempt to solve the crime of his parents' death on his own, only to stumble into Batman, who was also investigating the murder. After waking up in the Batcave, he is shocked to learn that Bruce is actually Batman. They connect Zuko to the crime, but he dies of a heart attack before his arrest. Seeing a reflection of himself in Dick, Batman made the young orphan the offer of a lifetime, the chance to become his crime-fighting partner. Dick chose the name Robin after the nickname his mother gave him when he was young, and his training then began. He becomes Robin, sidekick to Batman, and dons a costume based upon the ones worn by his parents when they performed. After 6 months of grueling training under Bruce, Dick has to pass one final test before he was able to take to the streets with Batman. He had to elude the Dark Knight on the streets of Gotham for one night, from sundown to sunrise, without any outside help. Dick succeeded, simultaneously bringing in a Gotham gangster to justice. Dick took to the streets as Batman's fully fledged partner in crime fighting, Robin the Boy Wonder. After countless missions with Batman, Dick eventually started going out on his own. It wasn't long before a group of young heroes got together and formed the group Teen Titans. Robin took on the leadership of the Titans, and in doing so, he stepped out of the Batman's shadow. When he was 17 years old, he was shot in the shoulder by the Joker. Bruce panicked and, in order to protect Dick, contemplated ending his crime-fighting career for good. But it was here that Dick realised he had grown up. He didn't need Bruce anymore. His newfound independence and his duties with the Titans left far less time for his commitments in Gotham. Bruce was far from pleased with the situation and told Dick that if he no longer wanted to be his partner, then he could no longer be Robin. Feeling lost, Dick turned to someone unexpected for advice: Superman. Superman told him a story that seemed relevant. Long ago on Krypton, a man was cast out by his family, just as Dick had been. He had dreamt of a world ruled by justice and set out to protect the helpless of Krypton. His true identity was never revealed. He was known only as Nightwing. So now deciding to take this mantle up as his own title, Nightwing had finally moved out of the shadow of the Bat, and would lead the Titans through some hard times. Dick endured brainwashing at the hands of Brother Blood, and he would be deeply affected by the fact that Batman trained a new Robin, Jason Todd, only for him to seemingly be killed at the hands of the Joker. Shortly after this, Dick learned that Tony Zuko, the man who killed his parents, had not actually died but rather passed into a coma. Batman feared Dick would want the gangster dead, so he protected Dick by telling him that Zuko had died. After spending nearly 7 years in prison with good behaviour, Zuko applied for parole, in exchange for becoming a state informant of mob activity. Just as Dick arrived to see him step out of the prison, he was gunned down by an enemy mobster from a helicopter. Despite catching the assassin and getting some closure to his parents' death, Dick was very upset with Bruce for lying to him and keeping him away. Feeling both hurt and betrayed, Bruce and Dick would remain at odds with each other, never really sorting out their strained relationship. While serving with the New Titans, Dick was searched out by an older Tim Drake, who looked up to Dick and Robin. He had only one goal on his mind: to get Dick to return to being Robin. It was Dick's refusal to return that Tim started down the road toward becoming the new Robin himself. After weeks of trying to persuade and prove his potential, only to be turned down by Bruce, Dick then returned to Batman to plead Tim's case with the help from Alfred Pennyworth. Due to their arguments and the realization that Batman needs a Robin, Tim Drake became the third Boy Wonder. If you guys are interested in a full video on Tim Drake, or for that matter Jason Todd, then be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, while Dick was away from Gotham leading the Titans, Bruce was almost killed by Bane, having his back broken. And due to their recent issues and being unwilling to force Dick to come back to Gotham, Bruce decided to pass on the mantle of Batman to Jean-Paul Valley, who he had been training to eventually take over the role anyway. He just didn't expect it to be so soon. Tim Drake's Robin was there to guide Valley, but sadly he was just too much for Tim to handle. Dick had to return to help Tim, and when Bruce returned to Gotham healed and ready to become Batman once more, the three of them, along with Catwoman, brought Valley down and Bruce resumed the mantle of Batman. When Dick returned to the Titans, he discovered that the government had gotten themselves involved in the structure of the team and placed Arsenal, formerly known as Speedy, the sidekick of Green Arrow, as the new leader of the team. So Dick made the tough decision to leave the Titans. He went back to focusing on the problems in Gotham. Still recovering from his broken back, Bruce asked Dick to substitute for him as Batman for a short time. Dick accepted, and during this time, Dick was able to confront Two-Face and lay some demons to rest. He also established a wonderful partnership with Tim, which allowed for their brotherly bond to flourish. Bruce eventually returned to Gotham to reclaim his role as Batman before taking back the mantle. Here, Bruce decided to explain to Dick the reason he had not selected him for the role of Batman originally, and for the first time in a long time, Bruce and Dick began to heal their strained relationship. Bruce's respect for Dick was at last very clear. A while later, a storyline took place that saw the apparent death of Batman. When the Justice League came to inform Dick that Bruce's contingency plan included him replacing him as Batman, he didn't jump at the chance. There were plenty of reasons for his hesitance, not least of which was resisting the idea that all this time, Robin and Nightwing had just been titles or missions to keep him busy until his real job began. After Jason Todd, who at this point was back from the dead, but that's a story for another video, took the role to violent extremes. Among other memorable twists in the Battle for the Cowl storyline, Dick was forced to realise that, like it or not, he truly was the best man for the job. He didn't agree with Bruce on many things, but nobody ever said he had to be the same Batman as Bruce. It was a chapter in Dick's life that drove home the point that he wasn't just a different hero from Batman, or even Robin, he was a different man. He didn't pursue the fame or power of the cowl, but used it to keep Bruce's symbol alive, while bringing Bruce's son Damian Wayne along as his own Robin. Finally shifting from student to master wasn't easy with a pupil like Damian, but by the time Bruce Wayne finally returned from his presumed death, the results spoke for themselves. Bruce was so impressed with Dick that he let him keep the cowl, making him the central figure in Batman Incorporated, an attempt to turn the idea of the Dark Knight into a network of agents. Then the launch of DC's New 52 changed all of that, returning Bruce to the cowl and sending Dick on an even more unique trajectory, as a secret agent. But before that, we learned some interesting things about Dick through the Court of Owls storyline, my favourite aspect of the New 52 launch. Oh yeah, and the Nightwing costume was red and black during this time for some reason. It was revealed that Nick was always supposed to be a Talon, an agent of the court, through his grandfather. When Bruce revealed this information to Dick, he didn't believe him, so Bruce punched him, knocking out a tooth, revealing a fake tooth with the mark of a Talon on it. Dick says something along the lines of, "It doesn't matter what he was meant to be, he is a hero." Then during the Forever Evil storyline, the parallel world/evil version of the Justice League takes Grayson prisoner, revealing his secret identity to the entire world. To make things worse, they insert him into something called a murder machine, which he will never be safely removed from while he remains alive. Batman and Lex Luthor try to rescue him, but are forced to accept that the only way to do so is if they kill Dick Grayson. Once he's removed though, they inject him with adrenaline to bring him back to life. And since the world didn't see the resurrection, Bruce hatches a new plan with Dick, one that begins with the world continuing to think that he is dead. As a blank slate and with a new identity, Dick can infiltrate the super secret spy organization known as Spiral. As Agent 37, recruited by Helena Bertinelli, the future Huntress, Dick begins his life as an agent. No mask, no fear, and no idea that his recruitment was actually manipulated on both sides. Unfortunately, Dick's secret agent career was relatively short-lived thanks to a life-or-death situation engineered by the Court of Owls. The organization that was controlling Gotham City and the rest of the world announces that they had planted a bomb inside the brain of Damian Wayne, a bomb that would detonate unless Dick Grayson came to work for them as Nightwing once more, the career that he was actually bred for by his ancestors. Dick accepts, making it clear that he'll play along only as far as he needs to, or until a major event comes along to give him an even bigger job. So following the deletion of the knowledge regarding the secret identity from most of the world in the final issue of Grayson, Dick went back to the Nightwing identity in the DC Rebirth era solo series. The costume's colours were also changed back to the traditional black and blue, thank God. At the start of the series, Nightwing is still a member of the Court of Owls, and he goes on missions around the world for the court. They give him a partner named Raptor, and like Nightwing, he wears a costume, but he is much more violent than Dick, and multiple times Dick has to try and stop him from killing. Throughout the story arc, Dick must work as an undercover agent, but also has to keep his morals and not kill even if the court tells him to. Later on in the series, an event causes him to lose his memory, which leads him to the name change of Rick Grayson and temporary retirement of the Nightwing alias. Then in March 2021, the series became part of DC's new relaunch Infinite Frontier. Tom Taylor becomes the new writer with Bruno Redondo as the artist. The series follows Dick Grayson's return to Bloodhaven as he fights crime while grappling the newfound responsibility from inheriting billions in wealth from Alfred Pennyworth. As with all these long-time comic book characters, there are many varying origin stories, so today I will be covering the most commonly accepted one. So Jason Todd was the son of Willis and Catherine Todd. He was raised in Gotham City where his father was a small-time criminal who eventually went to prison. After he served his sentence, he did not return to his family, leaving young Jason alone with his drug-addicted mother. Jason would try to look after his mother by stealing parts of cars to sell for cash. Soon after, his mum would pass away, leaving Jason alone. He continued to pay his way by doing what he had been doing anyway, selling tyres and other bits he could steal from cars. One night, when on the prowl for unwatched cars, Jason came across the Batmobile, parked up in an alley. He decided to steal the tyres, but was caught by Batman after taking the one and coming back for the others. Batman took the young thief to a school for troubled kids, but this backfired as the owner of the school was actually running essentially a training school for young criminals. Oh, Gotham. Batman decided to try and channel the boy's anger against criminals rather than letting him just turn into one. He was far from the acrobat or detective that Dick Grayson was, but he had a different sort of skill set from living his life on the streets of Gotham, so Batman made Jason the second Robin. On their first official mission as Batman and Robin, it was discovered that Jason's father was killed by the criminal Two-Face. Furious at the knowledge and the fact that Batman knew of it, Jason went on a rampage until at last he confronted Two-Face. Rather than kill Dent, however, Jason mastered his anger and let Dent be arrested, much to Batman's pride. However, despite Batman's success in training Jason, his life experience on the streets had left him with a very grey outlook on what was right and what was wrong. He would often use excessive force to subdue criminals when out on missions with Batman. Now, this is where it gets dark. Very dark. Jason later discovers that his mother was not actually his biological mother. After following a number of leads, he eventually tracks down the woman that gave birth to him, Sheila, who is working as an aid worker in Ethiopia. He is extremely happy to find her, but soon discovers that she is actually being blackmailed by the Joker. She is embezzling funds herself to cover up the fact that she was providing the Joker with medical supplies. When Jason arrives as Robin, she hands him over to the Joker, who brutally beats Jason with a crowbar. Joker then leaves both Jason and Sheila in a warehouse with a timed bomb. The two desperately try to escape, but with no success. The bomb goes off. Batman arrives at the scene too late. He is only able to hold Jason's lifeless body in his arms. For the next 10 years worth of stories, Batman is haunted by his failure to protect Jason. He didn't train him properly. He couldn't save him from the Joker. He had failed. He put up Jason's Robin costume as a display in the Batcave as a reminder of the consequences his actions can have. Now the darkness turns a bit crazy. So Superboy Prime alters reality from the Paradise dimension where he is trapped. Jason is somehow restored to life and breaks out of his coffin. He walks about 12 miles from the graveyard before collapsing. He gets hospitalized, and it is here he is recognized and Talia al Ghul is informed. So she takes him to the Lazarus Pit where her father, Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, however you choose to pronounce it, is also bathing. It's suggested that sharing the waters with Al Ghul might have in some way affected Jason's personality. Upon Jason's full revival, he decides that it is unacceptable that his death was never avenged. He is disgusted by the fact that the Joker is still breathing. When he eventually discovers that Batman showed no remorse for sparing the Joker's life, he becomes enraged. From here on out, Jason takes up the mantle of the Red Hood. He begins his time in Gotham as the Red Hood by attempting to hijack a shipment of kryptonite from Black Mask. After a fight with Batman and Nightwing, he gives the shipment back, explaining that he got what he wanted, a lay of the land. Soon afterwards, he finds the Joker and beats him very badly with a crowbar, just as the Joker had once done to him. But he does not kill him. He spares his life and plans to use him against Batman later on. It doesn't take long for Jason to take control over multiple gangs in Gotham City and begin a war against Black Mask's criminal empire. The overall plan is to rid the city of corruption, including drug-related crimes and gang violence. He also wants to murder the Joker in the process. But due to his not-so-superhero-like antics, he constantly butts heads with Batman and his allies. A little later, Batman finds a Robin mask in the Batmobile. It did not belong to either Dick or Tim. He also soon discovers that Jason's coffin is empty. He begins to question whether or not Jason ever actually died. After realizing Jason was in fact back, Alfred asks Bruce if he would like the Robin costume memorial removed from the Batcave, but he chooses to leave it there, not as a memorial for Jason, but as a reminder of his past failures. At one point, Jason had discovered that not only had Tim Drake replaced him as Robin, but according to many others, he was actually a far better Robin. So Jason breaks into the Titan's tower and confronts him. He beats him down and demands that Tim tell him if he thinks he really is as good as Jason, to which Tim says yes before passing out. Before leaving, Jason rips the R emblem from Tim's chest. But as he leaves, he can't help but feel a bit of respect for his successor, and also wondering if he would have made a better Robin, and in fact a better person, if he had the life and the friends that Tim had. Red Hood's final plan after his return finally comes to fruition when he kidnaps the Joker and uses him to lure Batman to Crime Alley, the place where they first met. He demands to know why Batman never avenged his death, and Batman explains that this is a line he is not willing to cross. An enraged Jason explains that even ignoring all the people he's killed, and the crippling of Batgirl, he believed that after his death at the hands of the Joker, he'd finally be able to kill him. Jason offers Batman a choice. Jason will kill the Joker unless Batman kills Jason.
And doing it because he took me away from you.
I'll be completely honest with you guys at this point, this is an ultimatum that always kind of bugged me. If Batman was never willing to kill the Joker, he's obviously not going to kill Jason. Anyway, Batman throws a batarang which wounds Jason and allows the Joker to get free. Now let's fast forward a little to the Battle of the Cowl storyline. Bruce is apparently gone and Jason makes his bid for the Batmantle. He begins his new war on crime using lethal tactics and leaving slips of paper that read, "I am Batman." After Nightwing deduces that the imposter is Jason, he and Damian Wayne chase him down. In the pursuit, Jason shoots Damian. Soon after, Tim Drake discovers Jason's so-called Batcave in an abandoned subway station. Jason ambushes Tim there and impales Tim in the chest with a batarang. Later on, Nightwing confronts Jason once more, intending to take down Todd once and for all. The pair battle, all the while Jason claiming that Tim is dead, unaware that Tim actually survived. The battle ends with Nightwing kicking Jason off a speeding train. When Dick attempted to help Jason, he refused and fell to his supposed death, though claiming they would see each other again soon. This allowed Dick to officially assume the mantle of Batman. When Jason is put in Arkham, he undergoes multiple psychological tests to prove that he does not belong in what he considers to be Batman's kennel of freaks. He is moved to a prison where he causes a lot of trouble, poisoning the cafeteria, which leads to the deaths of 82 inmates. He is transferred back to Arkham straight away, but gets broken out by a group of mercenaries. They reveal that he is in no danger, but Jason decides to fight them anyway. Batman and Robin arrive, and when the mercenaries are subdued, they reveal that their employer had captured Scarlet, Jason's former sidekick. He eventually rescues her with some help from Batman and Robin, and it now becomes clear that Jason is on the path to reforming, to making up for his sins. He could potentially rejoin the Bat family when he is ready. Now from here, let's move on to the New 52 relaunch. Here, Jason is attempting to make up for his sins by leading a group called the Outlaws. The team consists of himself, Arsenal and Starfire. The red symbol on his chest is now changed to a bat, representing his uneasy reconciliation with the Batman family. Interestingly, the costume itself is acquired by Jason from a collection of costumes identified as having belonged to Dick Grayson, including the original Nightwing costume, implying that this particular outfit belonged to Dick as well. Although he is now not opposing Batman and his Bat family, he is still using lethal force, but seemingly only when he is forced to do so. However, when he is forced, he does so with no remorse. Now let's move forward to DC Rebirth. Most of Jason's Rebirth storyline retells his origin with a few minor changes. The Outlaws are revived, but the new team consists of him, Artemis, and Bizarro. They are referred to as DC's Dark Trinity. They stayed together until Red Hood and the Outlaws issue 26, where Jason went solo and the title was changed to Red Hood, Outlaw. Red Hood is being used pretty regularly in the current continuity in a variety of titles, and I think DC realised that he's a very popular character. Fans love him. However, I feel like they are struggling to know exactly what to do with him. It feels like every other storyline is just him butting heads with Batman over the way in which they deal with things. The excessive force. I feel like maybe he needs a new, fresher arc, something a little different. But hey, that's just my opinion. You guys may just love the way they're going with him. Drake was only a young boy when he attended the circus with his parents. His father Jack introduced him to the main act before the show, the Flying Graysons. He had a picture with the Grayson family, which would be the first time that Tim met Dick Grayson. Dick really took to Tim and even promised to dedicate the upcoming performance to him. Tim was fascinated with the performance, but it was also the very same show that would see the death of John and Mary Grayson, Dick's parents. Then years later, when Tim was about 9 years old, he seen some footage of Batman and Robin apprehending the Penguin. In this footage, Robin performed a quadruple somersault. This was a maneuver that could only be performed by the Flying Graysons. After then discovering that Dick Grayson had gone on to be adopted by Bruce Wayne, Tim immediately made the connection that Dick was Robin, meaning that Bruce Wayne must be Batman. He then became obsessed with the dynamic duo, attempting to follow their every move. He studied them through Dick's transition to Nightwing and Jason Todd becoming the second Robin, then of course dying. Tim noticed a rather drastic change in Batman's behaviour, concluding that Batman definitely needed a Robin in order to maintain his sanity. Before long, Tim confronted Nightwing and told him about his concerns, expressing that Batman needs a Robin. However, Dick just intended to help Bruce as Nightwing, not reverting back to his previous mantle. Soon after this talk, Bruce and Dick were captured by Two-Face. Discovering that his idols were in great danger, a 13-year-old Tim Drake put on a Robin costume and, with the help of Alfred, rescued the dynamic duo. Then, although very reluctant at first, Batman agreed to accept him as the new Robin on a trial basis, after a great case was made by both Dick and Alfred. He was put through months of training before he was allowed to put on the costume for a second time. First he was trained by Alfred, then by Bruce, and finally by Dick for the specific Robin training. Although, just before his training was over, Tim's parents were captured and poisoned. His mother died and his father was left in a coma. At this point, Batman was reconsidering Tim for the role of Robin, as he feared he may now be using anger and revenge as his motivation, just as Jason Todd had done before him. But Tim was different. He was driven now more than ever to do what was right. So shortly after, Bruce bestowed upon him the mantle of Robin and a brand new costume. Before Batman would allow him to join in on any real crime fighting, he had to go on an overseas training tour. He would learn from many great martial arts masters, including Lady Shiva. Tim was different to the previous Robins. He was far more reserved than Jason, and far more of a detective than Dick, which is saying something because Dick is quite the detective himself. He also didn't take to martial arts as fast as the others. Dick, obviously spending his life as an acrobat, helped him pick up martial arts as if it was second nature, and Jason, growing up on the streets of Gotham, had no choice but to learn how to fight. Tim had to really work for it, and he did so very, very well. On one of Tim's first ventures out on his own, patrolling without Batman, he came across the Joker, who was initially infuriated at the sight of Robin, thinking he had failed to kill the Boy Wonder. But he soon realised it was just a replacement. So Joker swore to kill Tim, just as he had done to the previous Robin. But Tim was smarter and outwitted the Joker, defeating him and sending him back to Arkham. Around this time, Tim's father Jack awoke from his coma. He managed to convince him to buy a house close to the Wayne Manor so that Tim could secretly continue his work with Batman. Although Jack eventually became very resentful towards his son's relationship with Bruce Wayne, and it would seem that he was constantly trying to avoid spending time with his father. Let's skip forward a bit. Tim was with Alfred and Jean-Paul Valley, aka Azrael, when Batman had his back broken by Bane. They acquired an ambulance and took Bruce back to the Batcave, despite Tim's initial protest that he should go to a hospital. He contacted Jim Gordon to get some medicine that Bruce needed. After that, there was nothing he could do but wait and pray alongside Alfred. Fortunately, Bruce of course survived, although he was psychologically a very different person. Tim could barely stand to see his mentor the way he was. But during Batman's absence, crime in Gotham began to rise, and something had to be done about it. So Tim approached Bruce on the matter. Bruce turned down Tim's suggestion to have Dick take on the mantle of Batman temporarily, as he has his own responsibilities as Nightwing. This left the rather large responsibility to Azrael, so Tim gave him the Batsuit and taught him a few of Batman's tricks. When out on patrol with the new Batman, Tim noticed that Azrael was getting more and more aggressive when it came to taking on criminals. Before long, Bruce decided that he needed to come out of retirement and take back the Bat Mantle. He was now healed both physically and mentally from his injuries. Before confronting Jean-Paul, he took up a crash course with Lady Shiva just to get back into the swing of things. Then after confronting Azrael and taking back the cowl, Batman and Robin were back. Now let's move forward to the return of Jason Todd, now going by Red Hood. Jason was bitter and angry that he had been replaced as Robin, so he broke into Titan's tower and confronted Tim. The two fought and Jason ultimately struck him down, demanding to know from Tim if he thought he was really as good as people say. Tim replied with a defiant yes before being knocked unconscious. Jason then tore the R emblem off of Tim's Robin suit, but he had actually developed a sort of respect for Tim after this moment. Jason wondered if he would have made a better Robin if he had the friends and family that Tim had growing up. Obviously, guys, if you want to know more about Jason Todd's story, or even Dick Grayson for that matter, I have full videos on them on the channel that you can check out. Now, after the Battle of the Cowl storyline, Dick Grayson had taken up the role of Batman during Bruce's absence. Although Dick considered Tim to be his equal and ally, he did not want him to be his sidekick, so he instead offered the role of Robin to Damian Wayne, Bruce's real son. Tim came to the belief that Bruce was still alive somewhere in the world. As such, he left Gotham behind to begin his search. But as he was no longer the Boy Wonder, he took on the mantle previously worn by Jason, the Red Robin. Tim began travelling around the world looking for Bruce. The rest of the Bat family were worried about him, thinking he was just struggling to adjust to life without his mentor. But he eventually found proof of Bruce's current existence, proving himself as a hero in his own right and not just a sidekick. In the New 52 revamp, Tim continued his work as Red Robin, and then in the DC Rebirth soft reboot, Tim decided to operate under the new name Drake. Yeah, great idea. However, in the absence of Damian Wayne, he returned to operating as Robin. After breaking up with on and off again girlfriend and also Robin Stephanie Brown, Tim goes on a journey of self-discovery and actually comes out as bisexual, where he started dating his old friend Bernard Dowd. You can continue to follow Tim's story in a bunch of the current DC titles if you're interested in knowing more of the current storyline for him. So after a brief fling with the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, Talia, Bruce Wayne managed to get her pregnant. He was actually completely unaware of the conception of the child and returned to his normal life fighting crime for years to follow. Talia, however, believed that because of the genes, she now had the perfect heir. Talia then used the League's extensive scientific resources to inorganically speed up the child's aging, giving him the physiology of a 10-year-old in less than 5 years. She named the child Damian. He was raised and trained by the League of Assassins, and by a very young age, he was already an extremely deadly assassin. When Talia deemed him ready, she allowed him to go to Gotham to meet his father. Of course, Batman was extremely surprised to learn that he had a child. Despite his intense training to become a remorseless assassin, Damian was actually sympathetic to his father's vigilantism in Gotham and volunteered to become his next sidekick. Batman agreed and granted Damian the mantle of Robin. This relationship didn't last too long, however, as Batman was apparently killed during an invasion by Darkseid, and the original Robin, now Nightwing, Dick Grayson, chose to take over the mantle of Batman. As Damian didn't want to give up on his father's mission to protect Gotham, he decided to continue on as the Robin to Grayson's Batman. During their time together as the dynamic duo, they formed a very close brotherly relationship. They didn't always agree, but what brothers do. When before Damian had betrayed a very arrogant and vicious personality, it appeared that the death of his father had regressed him to a more childlike mindset, as demonstrated when he took the Batmobile joyriding with an older girl. This was discovered by Oracle, who ejected the girl and took control of the Batmobile, taking Damian home. Damian's second year as Robin began with him initiating a fight against his predecessor, Red Robin, Tim Drake, who had been keeping a hit list of criminals and tasks, which attracted Damian's fury when the latter hacks the hit list and discovers that a hidden layer of allies to the Bat family were considered potential threats by Tim. One of them was Damian. During a stakeout mission, Damian severs Tim's line, causing him to fall from a great height. He survives, and Tim pulls Damian into an all-out brawl. This fight takes them all the way to outside the theatre where Bruce Wayne's parents were killed. The two of them are stopped by Dick Grayson, dressed as Batman, who chastises both of them for fighting in front of the theatre where Batman was born. The two then enter into a grudging truce for the foreseeable future. Eventually, Bruce Wayne would of course return to the Fulll, and he reclaimed the mantle of Batman. The father and son duo then continued on as Batman and Robin. Before long, Damian would join the Teen Titans after Dick Grayson decided that the team needed a Robin, while also feeling that Damian would benefit from the friendship of other heroes, feeling that his brother had progressed to the point where he could be trusted to not kill if left unsupervised. As time moved on and the universe was somewhat reset with the introduction of the New 52, Bruce and Damian were still Batman and Robin and were finding it very difficult to come to an agreement on how justice should be served. Of course, Batman prefers not to kill, whereas Damian thinks the permanent solution of death is the only way. Though, to respect his father's wishes, he chooses to show restraint. This was until he faced the villain going by the name Nobody. Nobody captured and tortured Damian, and when Batman eventually discovered their location, he beat Nobody brutally, almost to the point of killing him. But he stopped himself when he realized that Damian was there and watching. Nobody then promised he would return and kill their friends. And so Damian killed him. Though Bruce was horrified with the situation, he chose to react with compassion rather than anger. He decided to spend more time with Damian as father and son instead of as hero and sidekick. He hopes that this will give his son the childhood that he never had, and he can perhaps find some compassion of his own. Soon Batman would come to the realization that the mother of his son, Talia, had made a clone of Damian. The clone is an evil adult version of Damian going by the name Heretic. During an issue of Batman Inc. released in 2013, Heretic would attack and knock out Nightwing before taking on Damian. The Heretic eventually gains the upper hand and impales Damian through the chest, the sword piercing Damian's heart and resulting in him dying almost instantly. Minutes after Damian's death, Batman arrives and sees Damian's dead body. Angered, he and a revived Nightwing battle the Heretic, but are eventually forced to retreat with Damian's body. After holding a private funeral for the fallen Boy Wonder, Bruce vows to avenge his son's death. The following story deals with Bruce's mental health decline while dealing with losing his son, unwilling to accept his son's death, and begins seeking the means to resurrect Damian at the cost of his relationship with his friends and allies. When Batman and Nightwing finally reconfront Heretic, they overpower him, and the clone suffers a brutal beating from both of them in retaliation for Damian's death. Batman, despite desiring to kill his son's murderer more than anything, and Nightwing making absolutely no attempt of stopping his mentor, spares the villain's life after seeing his resemblance to Damian, realizing that the clone is pretty much all that he has left of his son. However, Talia later kills the Heretic for his failure to kill Batman and challenges Batman to a duel to the death in the Batcave. It comes to light that Ra's al Ghul intends to bring both his daughter and grandson back to life. Batman does not trust Ra's and decides to pursue him to reclaim his son's body. By the time he gets to him, it is too late and Ra's has successfully had them placed in a Lazarus pit, leaving Batman in dread of Damian's potential fate. The resurrection fails, leaving Ra's to realise his arrogance for allowing the heretic to kill his grandson, and he regrets allowing Talia to clone Damian in the first place. After defeating Ra's in combat, Batman reclaims Damian's body and threatens his son's maternal grandfather that if he steals his son's body again, he will kill him in retaliation. Man, do not mess with Batman's son. Soon after, one of Darkseid's elite members, Glorious Godfrey, comes to Earth. He is there to retrieve a Chaos Shard, a powerful crystal which belonged to Darkseid that Ra's al Ghul had essentially hidden inside of Damian. Godfrey eventually manages to leave with Damian's body, angering Batman once more. Batman then enters and accesses the Justice League Watchtower to use his unstable exosuit known as the Hellbat armor, designed by Batman himself and the Justice League members to engage large-scale threats. Batman successfully retrieves his son's corpse as he and his team return to Earth via the boom tube directly to the Batcave after successfully escaping the clutches of Darkseid and his parademons. After this, Batman uses the Chaos Shard on his son's corpse, which has been infused with Darkseid's Omega Sanction. With Batman facing two choices of whether to resurrect Damian or his parents, he chooses his son, granting Damian's true resurrection. As Damian and Batman embrace, Batman collapses from exhaustion. However, before the team can celebrate, the boom tube that was used to return them to Earth was not closed, and Darkseid's son Kalibak arrives and attacks the team. During the fight, Kalibak beats the team nearly to death, when suddenly, Damian knocks him out with a powerful uppercut, discovering that due to the Chaos Shard he has gained superhuman abilities. While Damian fights Kalibak, Batman remote controls the Batwing and sends it crashing into Kalibak, sending him through the boom tube, and then closes the portal. After father and son reunite, Bruce runs multiple tests on his son to try and figure out how he can help him control these new powers. However, it turns out that they are not permanent and eventually Damian returns to his normal self. Now, moving ahead to DC Rebirth. One of the more fun storylines that Damian was involved in was the Super Son story. Robin teams up with Superman's 10-year-old son Jonathan Kent, who he befriended previously during a test facilitated by Batman and Superman. Together, they form the Super Sons. In the first volume, Damian and John team up against Kid Amazo, a child affected by a virus which grants powers to ordinary humans. They defeat him and Damian decides to train John. But John's desire to join the Teen Titans against Damian's wishes creates ongoing conflict between the two boys. Batman and Superman construct an underwater base for their sons, which John refers to as the Fortress of Attitude. After the death of Alfred Pennyworth and Dick Grayson losing his memories thanks to the villain KG Beast, Damian begins to see his father's view of justice versus fear as not enough. Instead, he decides to begin killing criminals to invoke true fear in his enemies. With the friction between members at an all-time high, Damian attempts to kill KG Beast, but only succeeds in cutting off his left arm before the Titans intervene and stop him. Batman then arrives having learned of his son's actions, declaring that the Teen Titans are finished. At that moment, a revived Deathstroke attacks the Titans and Batman with intent to kill them all. Damian pursues Deathstroke and attempts to kill him, but the Titans again intervene. Red Arrow is injured and Deathstroke escapes. Batman tries to convince Robin to come home with him, but Damian attacks him, declaring that Wayne Manor is a coffin and that Batman's views are not enough to save Gotham. At the height of his anger and frustration, Damian rips the Robin insignia off his chest and gives it back to his father. Declaring himself free, Damian leaves for parts unknown. After leaving the Titans, the other members of the team, as well as members of the Bat family, try to find him, but he manages to evade them all. Before long, Superboy discovers a note from Damian to him. It's not directly revealed what's on the note, but it makes Superboy realize where Damian is held up, and he says they won't find him. Damian also leaves a note for the Titans, which contains a set of coordinates leading them to a meeting with Nightwing. Nightwing explains that Damian encouraged him to have the remaining members of the Titans and Teen Titans work together in spite of the Justice League's disapproval. This leads to a new version of the Titans forming consisting of Nightwing, Cyborg, Raven, Starfire, Beast Boy, Crush, Roundhouse, Red Arrow, and Kid Flash. Damian actually got his own comic going last year in 2021, simply titled Robin. This had some strong stories, including one where he meets his great-grandmother, Rue al Ghul. Talia and Ra's help Damian bring down Rule in this story. He then moves back into the palace with them until the events of Shadow War. Shadow War was a storyline from a few months back which I thoroughly enjoyed. I won't ruin that story here as it's still quite recent, but you should definitely check it out. Here is a little summary to give you an idea of what it's all about. Batman and Robin, father and son, are brought back together when Deathstroke assassinates Ra's al Ghul. His daughter, Talia al Ghul, demands revenge and sends her League of Shadows after Slade Wilson and his associates. But the dynamic duo want to bring him to justice for his crimes. Or do they? So that brings us up to recent storylines. Obviously, with all of these summary videos, it's very difficult to bring the entire story of any of these characters into one digestible video. Many of the stories are not considered canon, and many of them are quite irrelevant to the growth of them as characters. So I've tried my hardest to bring all the important stuff into one video, just as I have with previous versions. If you feel I've missed anything important in this video, which I probably have, then please let me know in the comments down below. I'd be more than happy to perhaps do a part 2 to some of these videos. Stephanie Brown's story is a rich and complex one that spans multiple storylines and character developments. Let's delve into her journey in more detail. Stephanie Brown initially appeared as the daughter of the villainous Cluemaster, a minor antagonist in the Batman comics. Growing up, Stephanie witnessed her father's criminal activities and was determined to break free from that life. She adopted the alter ego Spoiler, donning a purple and yellow costume to challenge her father's criminal activities and assist Batman in his fight against crime in Gotham City. She demonstrated her resourcefulness and determination when she successfully located her father's hideout and uncovered his nefarious plans. Taking matters into her own hands, she strategically left clues for both Batman and the police, ensuring that they could apprehend her father, the notorious Cluemaster. It was during this mission that Stephanie's path first crossed with Robin, Tim Drake, and she found herself drawn to him. However, the fact that Robin knew her secret identity while she remained unaware of his true identity was a source of frustration for Stephanie. In the midst of the Night Quest storyline, a significant development occurred as Cluemaster, accompanied by the Electrocutioner, managed to escape from prison. The news of his breakout reached Stephanie, who was grappling with her mother's battle with depression and painkiller addictions. Fueled by determination, Stephanie made the decision to adopt her Spoiler persona and confront her father head-on. During her pursuit, Stephanie unexpectedly crossed paths with Robin again, and despite the challenges they faced, he allowed her to join him on his mission. However, circumstances led to their separation, forcing Stephanie to rely on her skills as Spoiler to assist Robin in his endeavours. In a moment of gratitude, Robin expressed his appreciation with a heartfelt kiss. Their time together was cut short as the police arrived, forcing Stephanie and Robin to part ways before she could assert the possibility of seeing him again. Spoiler unexpectedly encountered Robin once again, this time while he was working with the Connor Hawke version of Green Arrow, to dismantle a street gang involved in an illegal arms trade. Expressing her discontent with Robin hogging all the excitement, Stephanie proclaimed her intention to assume the role of Spoiler more frequently. Determined to prove herself, she insisted on accompanying Robin and Green Arrow as they confronted the gang. True to her flirtatious nature, Stephanie engaged in her usual banter with Robin. However, the light-hearted exchange took a serious turn when they targeted the true leaders of the gang the following night. Robin, consumed by anger over the death of his fellow student Carl Rank, had no time for playful distractions. Unaware that Robin was attending Rank's funeral in his civilian identity along with his then-girlfriend, Stephanie paid her respects. Later that night, Spoiler rendezvoused with Robin, expressing her commitment to continue her vigilante activities as Spoiler and offering to assist him in seeking justice against Rank's shooter. Their endeavours quickly escalated beyond their capabilities, leaving them in a perilous situation. Fortunately, Batman arrived just in time to rescue them and reprimand Stephanie, ordering her to return home. During a period where Tim and his then-girlfriend Ariana were unable to be together, this bond with Stephanie grew even stronger. Tim gradually realised that his feelings for Stephanie had evolved beyond friendship, leading him to end his relationship with Ariana and start dating Stephanie. However, due to the need for secrecy within the Batman family, Robin couldn't disclose his true identity to Spoiler. However, Stephanie faced a challenging situation when she discovered she was pregnant with her ex-boyfriend's child, who had left Gotham City during the Cataclysm. Tim, assuming the alias Alvin Draper, supported Stephanie during her pregnancy and attended Lamar's classes with her. Their connection deepened further. Unfortunately, Robin was temporarily relocated to Keystone City during the final months of Stephanie's pregnancy. Nevertheless, he returned to her side just in time for the birth. Together with Tim's assistance, Stephanie made the difficult decision to give her daughter up for adoption, believing it would provide the child with a better future. Shortly after, Tim was sent to a boarding school by his father, resulting in a long-distance relationship between him and Stephanie. The situation became even more complicated by Stephanie's lack of knowledge about Tim's real identity. During his time away, Robin befriended a girl named Star, and one fateful night, Robin noticed Star entering an alley with suspicious individuals, prompting him to tail her in costume. Stephanie, also on patrol, decided to follow Robin as she tracked Star to a gang meeting that erupted in a violent shootout. Robin successfully saved Star, but Stephanie, witnessing the events, became convinced that he was being unfaithful. As a result, she distanced herself from him for a while. Shortly after this incident, Robin disappeared from Gotham for several days on a secret mission in Tibet. During his absence, Spoiler realized that she still desired to be with him. Batman approached Stephanie and offered to train her, even choosing to reveal Tim's true identity to her. This revelation strained the relationship between Batman and Robin, as well as causing complications for Stephanie and Tim. Stephanie began her training under Batman's guidance and also formed a friendship with Batgirl, who helped train her in exchange for reading lessons. As Spoiler, Stephanie often found herself at odds with Batman and the other members of the Bat family. She possessed an impulsive and headstrong nature, occasionally acting against their orders or pursuing her own agenda. Despite this, she had a strong desire to prove herself and make a positive impact on the city that she loved. Stephanie's path took a major turn when she discovered Batman's secret identity as Bruce Wayne. Seeking an opportunity to prove herself, she decided to become the new Robin. Stephanie's decision was met with resistance and skepticism, as Batman questioned her readiness and suitability for the role. However, her persistence and determination led Batman to give her a chance, and Stephanie became the fourth Robin. As Robin, she brought her own unique approach to crime fighting. She relied on her agility, intelligence, and resourcefulness rather than brute strength, which set her apart from her predecessors. Stephanie's Robin persona was marked by her ability to think on her feet, employing clever strategies and relying on her detective skills to outsmart her adversaries. Stephanie's tenure as Robin faced numerous challenges and setbacks. In the major storyline War Games, Stephanie's impulsive actions inadvertently triggered a violent gang war in Gotham City. As the situation spiraled out of control, Stephanie found herself in over her head. She was captured by the sadistic Black Mask and subjected to brutal torture. This storyline took a very tragic turn when Stephanie seemingly met her demise, leading to immense guilt and grief among the Bat family. Stephanie's apparent death had a profound impact on the characters around her. Batman, Tim Drake, and the rest of the Bat family mourned her loss and questioned their own actions. However, it was revealed that Stephanie had survived her ordeal and faked her own death. She resurfaced as Spoiler once again, determined to continue her fight against crime. After her return, Stephanie faced new challenges and embarked on further adventures. She continued to assist Batman and the Bat family, proving her worth and resilience as a hero. Stephanie's character development focused on her growth as an individual, learning from her past mistakes and becoming a more mature and capable crime fighter. Stephanie's story extended beyond her time as Robin. She took on different roles and identities, such as Batgirl and becoming the vigilante known as Bluebird. Each transition allowed her to further define herself as a hero and establish her place within the Batman mythology. Her story is a testament to her resilience, determination, and growth as a character. Her journey from Spoiler to Robin and beyond showcased her unique perspective, skills, and unwavering commitment to fighting crime. Stephanie remains an influential and beloved character of the DC Comics universe, leaving a lasting impact on the Bat family and readers alike. And that's pretty much it for Stephanie Brown as Robin. I didn't want to delve too much into her time as Batgirl and Spoiler, just the events that led to her becoming Robin and the key moments within that role. Kelley, a 13-year-old schoolgirl and avid scout, enters the world of Gotham's vigilante justice under extraordinary circumstances. Her journey begins when she encounters Batman on the night he emerges from retirement, as he rescues her from the brutal clutches of the mutant gang. Awed by the Dark Knight, Kelley is inspired to become his ally. She invests her lunch money in making a makeshift Robin costume and sets out to confront petty criminals, hoping to prove her worth as Batman's sidekick. Armed with unconventional weapons like a slingshot and firecrackers, and sporting green-tinted sunglasses instead of the traditional black mask, she brings a unique flair to the Robin persona. Her background in gymnastics coupled with her resourcefulness make her a formidable presence on the streets of Gotham. In contrast to the earlier Robins, Kelley's family background is starkly different. She's not an orphan but seems to be largely neglected by her parents, who are depicted as detached and possibly former activists turned apathetic. This aspect of her life adds depth to her character, highlighting a youth seeking purpose and direction in a chaotic world. The backdrop of Batman's return is marked by the government's prohibition of superhero activities and the haunting memory of Jason Todd's death. Despite his initial reluctance, Batman is compelled to accept Kelley as Robin after she heroically saves him from a near-fatal encounter with the leader of the mutants. Her tenacity and quick thinking, including fashioning a makeshift sling for Batman from her cape, earn her Batman's grudging respect. While Batman often threatens to dismiss her, Kelley consistently demonstrates significant skills and improvisation, prompting him to reconsider. The narrative sees a shift in Gotham's law enforcement attitude towards Batman, led by the newly appointed Commissioner Ellen Yindel. Batman's alliance with the young Kelley adds child endangerment to the growing list of charges against him, intensifying the stakes of their crusade. As Robin, Kelley plays a pivotal role in confronting the Joker, who has unleashed terror at a fairground. While Batman engages his arch-nemesis, Kelley skillfully neutralizes a bomb and then faces one of Joker's henchmen in a deadly struggle that leaves her shaken but resilient. Her courage and quick actions are instrumental in saving an injured Batman from the police and assisting in his recovery with Alfred Pennyworth's help. Kelley's contribution is crucial in restoring order during a citywide blackout caused by an electromagnetic pulse, at this point working along the newly founded Sons of Batman. The narrative climaxes with the United States government deploying Superman to subdue Batman. Kelley aids Batman in the ultimate confrontation, using her ingenuity and the Batmobile. Despite Batman's apparent death in the battle, it's later revealed that he faked it, with Kelley being instrumental in unearthing him post-revival. The story concludes with Kelley and Batman, alongside Green Arrow, training a new generation of vigilantes, preparing to face looming threats greater than Gotham's typical criminals. Carrie Kelley's journey as Robin in The Dark Knight Returns represents a significant evolution of the sidekick role. She embodies the resilience and determination of youth, challenging traditional gender roles and bringing a fresh, dynamic perspective to the Batman legend. Her story is one of empowerment, courage, and the relentless pursuit of justice, making her a standout character in the Batman universe. Then, 3 years later, following her debut as Robin, Carrie Kelley assumes the moniker Catgirl, serving as Batman's highly competent second-in-command. In her new role, she dons a skin-tight cat costume, adorned with a leopard pattern, and has undergone extensive combat training. Her arsenal includes innovative gadgets like motorized roller skates and an arm cannon capable of firing batarangs. Catgirl's primary responsibility involves leading a cadre of Batboys in a crusade against a tyrannical police state dictatorship orchestrated by Lex Luthor and Brainiac. Under her leadership, they embark on daring missions to free captive heroes, including the Atom and the Flash. Despite her effectiveness as a leader, Catgirl's tenure is not without its challenges. She finds herself enforcing discipline within the ranks, at one point severely reprimanding a Batboy for excessively violent actions against police officers. This incident, where she orders the Batboy be treated without anesthetic following her physical reprimand, highlights the moral complexities she navigates. Alone and burdened by the gravity of her actions, she breaks down, only to find solace in Batman's comforting presence. Her relationship with Batman is multifaceted. She is sometimes described as the daughter that Batman never had, reflecting the deep paternal bond that they share. Her journey takes a darker turn though when she confronts a Joker-like supernatural figure. Her attempts to eliminate this threat using an array of weapons including arrows, thermite, acid and C4 prove futile. The adversary, revealed to be a vengeful and genetically modified Dick Grayson, harbours resentment towards Batman and by extension, Carrie. The ensuing confrontation in the Batcave leaves Carrie severely injured, her lips lacerated and bones broken. In a moment of vulnerability, believing her end is near, she confesses her love to Batman, who reflects similar sentiments. However, it's clarified that their bond is purely familial, with Batman viewing Carrie as a daughter figure. The intervention of Batman and Ralph Dibny ensures Carrie's safety from the perilous encounter. Additionally, it's hinted that Carrie may be developing romantic feelings for the Atom, indicating the growth and evolution of her emotional landscape. In this chapter of her story, Carrie Kelley's transformation from Catgirl to a formidable leader showcases her resilience and complexity as a character. Her journey is marked by challenges that test her moral compass, her leadership skills, and emotional strength, painting a portrait of a young hero coming into her own in the shadow of Gotham's greatest legend. Now, moving ahead again, 3 years after Batman's apparent disappearance, Gotham City witnesses a resurgence of Batman sightings. Following a tense confrontation with the Gotham City Police Department and Commissioner Yindel, the new Batman is captured and unmasked, revealing Carrie Kelley in the role. Asserting that Bruce Wayne has passed away, Kelley is detained but manages to orchestrate a daring escape from Blackgate Prison using a remotely controlled tank. This breakout leads her back to the Batcave, where she reunites with Bruce Wayne, alive but in hiding. In the wake of these events, Kelley and Wayne are confronted with a new great threat, the Kandorians, led by Qua, who issued an ultimatum demanding humanity's surrender and worship. Responding to the crisis, Bruce and Carrie journey to the Fortress of Solitude to rouse Superman, who had been encased in ice for nearly 3 years. Kelley reassembles the Batboys' army, while Batman and Superman confront Qua and his followers. In a dramatic turn of events, Superman is defeated and encapsulated in black matter by Qua, who then threatens to obliterate Gotham unless Batman surrenders. Acknowledging Kelley's growth and readiness, Bruce presents her with a new Batgirl costume in green and purple, entrusting her with the critical mission of enlisting Aquaman's aid to rescue Superman. The ensuing battle against the Kryptonians is fierce, and Carrie, now as Batgirl, finds herself targeted by Baal. She valiantly defends herself, disfiguring Baal's face with a slingshot and a kryptonite rock. A confrontation between Carrie and Lara is halted by Wonder Woman's intervention, leaving Carrie awestruck by their formidable power. In the aftermath, Carrie discovers the tragic news of Batman's death at the hands of Qua. She later meets with Commissioner Yindel beside the ruined Bat Signal, suggesting the need for a new one to maintain their connection. Back in the Batcave, as Carrie and the Flash discuss recent events, a younger Bruce Wayne returns, rejuvenated by Superman's use of the Lazarus Pit. Further adventures ensue as Commissioner Yindel is captured by Bruno and the Jokers, only to be rescued by Batman and Batgirl. The duo then confront a gathering of Kryptonians in the desert, employing a swarm of bats to disorientate and defeat them. In a climactic showdown, Superman, Batman and Batgirl engage the remaining Kryptonian children, who are ultimately neutralized by the Atom's intervention, preventing a catastrophic explosion. 2 months later, with Superman missing, Bruce contemplates his whereabouts. Carrie, now fully embracing her role within the Bat family, appears in a new black suit, formally assuming the mantle of Batwoman. Her journey from an inspired teenager to Batwoman encapsulates her evolution from a disciple of the Dark Knight to a formidable hero in her own right, symbolizing the enduring legacy and resilience of Batman's mission. She also went on to have a little cameo in the New 52 run, appearing as Damian Wayne's acting instructor. She wears a Robin costume at Halloween as a nice little nod. She also appeared in the Rebirth run in a possible future where Batman and Catwoman have grown old together. Carrie is among the Bat family members standing by Bruce's bedside as he dies. And that brings us to the end of our video today about Carrie Kelley. Like I said at the start, she is one of my favourite Robins. She's just different, unique and relatable. What do you think of Carrie Kelley? And do you think she should be brought back today as a mainstay Robin? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's it from me today, my friends. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this full collection video of the story of every single Robin ever. As I probably said multiple times throughout this video, multiple different Robins are some of my favourite characters ever. Nightwing, Dick Grayson, and of course Jason Todd are right up there. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below which is your favourite Robin or who you think has the best story. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you have a great day. Don't forget to return to the Batcave for more Bat content. See you guys.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman. Fear. I'm vengeance.